I have a feeling I know what the answer to this question is going to be, but what is better, lifting the Stanley Cup or seeing your son win the Frozen Four?
Oh, that is a good question. Just because I just lived it, I would have said watching your son, do something that he's been trying to do for a long time. I know selfishly, it's not tough to beat winning the Stanley Cup. That's still the greatest day of my life. But yesterday was pretty special watching him be able to do that.
Some things are meant to me. Like I was watching that game last night, and the fact that you had an afternoon game. Like, would you ever take an NHL game off?
No, that's my job.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I looked at the schedule and I'm like, okay, I'm going to miss the semifinal because we have a game. And then I'm like, going to miss Saturday night, of course, I play. And then I go 12:30 in Buffalo. That's a little ways away, but 12:30, we don't ever have those. And I'm like, 3-hour flight, do the math. And then, I had to be there. I had to. So more for me, he knows I watch. I mean, he got his own thing going on, but it was just, you only get so many moments in life to create memories and be there for something special. So, something I'll remember forever now, watching that game. First of all, the game was great.
Mm-hmm.
So intense. So anyway, very happy that I was able to be there.
I was wondering, does Skylar ever look up? Did he ever look up to see if you were there?
No chance. He knew. I told him we were coming. He had all his family was there. We had a bunch of people there, friends, coaches that coached him when they were little. I mean, it's a pretty special moment, like I said, for him, his teammates. They've been, I don't know, anytime you can win a championship in hockey especially, it's, that's what makes it so great. I don't care if it's a Stanley Cup or whatever, it takes so many people, right? It's not about one guy. And that's what makes our sport so great, is you just count on everyone. And then when you win, you remember that forever. Mm-hmm. And you guys are, whatever level, you're champion, it's like you're tied together forever. And that's what kind of happened last night.
When that overtime winner was scored, Kevin Bieksa grabbed a whiteboard in our little studio, and he diagrammed the winning play.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, as a coach, did you see that unfolding as it happened?
Wow. We talked about this after the game. I went down and talked to the coaches after too. They run that play every game, all year, for a couple lines. And it's just a simple center swing away, hit the wing crossing, and then see if you can catch a step on a guy. And they've hit it quite a bit. But I just love that they had a plan, and then they've obviously practiced it and worked on it. And you do every team does this. Mm-hmm. Every level, NHL, you've got plays, and you run one every face-off basically. But how often does it actually hit?
That was my next question.
And but that's why you practice it, because it might, that one time it might, and you got to have a plan and you got to execute. And they clearly did. I mean, it was exactly how he draws it up, and away you go.
Skylar has some decisions to make. Like, do you advise him at all on that kind of thing?
Well, yes and no. We haven't talked yet. I mean, I would say he has some decisions. He's done playing school, so he's got to finish his school. He's got a month left. I mean, he's got to graduate. That's why you went to school. Put that in there. And then obviously he's going to want to see if he can play at another level, and I think he'll have some opportunities. But he's going to have to, I think, prove himself at the next level, which may not be NHL level. We're talking, AHL level or wherever. So I'm sure he'll have a couple opportunities there, and he's got to start over.
This is not tampering, I don't believe. But would Rod Brind'Amour want to coach Skylar Brind'Amour?
It's not tampering. I would love it. I mean, I'd love to do it. I don't think that's the best move, because I haven't, as a parent, you want the best for your son, your daughter, whatever. I haven't pulled a card. I haven't said, hey, a favor. I mean, I probably could, but that's not what he wants. He's earned everything that's come his way since he's been a kid, trying out for AAA teams. And I was still coaching, but he had to make the team. Mm-hmm. It wasn't because I was coaching. He was good enough. And then all the way through the process, same thing, he got drafted, 6th round, but not to us, not to the Hurricanes, somewhere else, and got his scholarship on his own. It wasn't, me messing around. So I'm not about to do that now, but if our staff said, hey, this would be a good guy to have, I'd love to have him, obviously.
It kind of takes me a bit of a different direction. I was talking to Jay Woodcroft a couple of weeks ago, and Edmonton had a deal they were looking at, and they took it to him, and he said, I think we already have a guy here who fills that role. I don't necessarily think we need to do that. And Ken Holland pulled back. He wouldn't tell me who it was, but it did happen. What's your relationship like with the front office here in the Hurricane? How much say do you get in what you do?
Oh, I think that's the best part of the job I have is the relationship between myself, Tom, the owner, Donnie. I think we're all kind of in line, and it goes down to Jeff Daniels and Tim Gleason. Like we all have a say and feel like we're connected on what's going on, and there's not a move that's done that impacts our team that we're not involved in, whatever. And even the minor leagues, we're who we bringing into this organization, and then they may do it anyway, but very rarely, so I think that's what I love about it. I mean, we talk about players all the time, and I think that's what makes our situation work.
And has there ever been a time like you've really disagreed with anything?
All the time.
Yeah?
All the time. We disagree more than we agree, probably.
Give me a time that you were wrong, that you went back to them later and you said, thank God you guys overruled me on this one.
I think it's the other way. I think you got to look at it the other way. I don't remember the ones I was wrong. I got a lot more. I told you so. No, obviously, lots of mistakes. I can't even, right now, off the top of my head, I can't think of one. But I know there's been, I was wrong about that guy. I mean, we all are. A lot of it more from the drafting perspective because, you watch a kid at 18 or 17 and you think, oh, he's going to be this, and maybe he doesn't, or vice versa. And that's everywhere, throughout every organization. The draft's absolutely the hardest thing, I think, to nail down. Other than the top, when you have a top pick, that's about as easy as you can do. But after that, it gets really tough. And I think, it's not a crapshoot because there is a science to it, but there is a lot of luck involved.
Okay. Tell me one thing about Tom Dundren that isn't true that people think, and one thing that is true that people think.
There's a lot of misconception. This guy, here's what I'll say. I've always said it before. I think he's one of the hardest working men in sports. Like I tell you, he's the owner of our team. He's involved in every trade that happens from the minor league level to the draft. I mean, he's involved in everything. And every day he's talking about players. What do you think? Can this guy help us? Like down the list. So he's involved all the time. Everyone thinks he meddles. Everyone thinks he's kind of like, I get the sense that, but he doesn't ever do anything to do with our team as far as you got to do this or that. No, none of that. Whatever you got to do, lets me do it. But we have great communication on how we make our team better. And it's all about the players. Every conversation on how do we make it better for the players. And that's what he's done in Raleigh since he's taken over is, okay, got to get a better practice facility. How do we make it great for the players? I'm going to do it. And we clearly now pay the players. That's coming out of his pocket. And that's the biggest thing because that's how you get a fair fight in this league. It's tough when you don't have a fair fight. Now that you can at least pay the guys and equal to the other teams, that takes that out of the equation. And he's all about winning, number one, and making sure that players are taken care of. And I think that's really the key.
I've heard you talk about this before, the night that you were traded. Because when you talk like that, I think about the night when you were traded from Philadelphia to Carolina. And I think you've told the story many times about how there were like 8,000 people in the building that night, and the hotel you were living at, they didn't even know where the arena was. Yeah. Yeah. Like I wonder what you must think when you go back 20-something years.
Well, that's why it's funny you just mentioned this because we played a game. It was last week, Tuesday night in Raleigh against Ottawa. I came out and about to start the game, and it's sold out. And I'm like, not that it's Ottawa, but it's Tuesday night against not a team that we've had any history with. Or there's no rivalry.
And you were born there, so you don't want to slag off.
No, I'm not meaning it that way, but I meant it's normal. And we got a packed house. And I'm like, you know how far we've come as an organization because that's not how it used to be. On a Saturday night, yes, Friday night maybe, but on a Tuesday night, probably not. And we're full. And that's come a long ways. I know it doesn't sound like much to some people. We got a small market team the town has supported us, and they're coming out every night. And I think it's because we have a good team, and people can appreciate that. And I think that's the whole part about being relevant.
Mhm.
We wanted to be relevant, and not just one year. We got to do this every year, and we've done that here for a few years, and we need to keep doing that.
I remember Game 7 of that Stanley Cup final, the crowd standing that whole night. Did the players notice that?
You don't notice them standing, but you notice the emotion of it. Like, it's so loud, and the energy is off the charts. And I think it's everywhere, every building has that, but for some reason, our building is just you get goosebumps thinking about it when wanting to score that goal, or when you do, just how the roof just comes off the place. And it's a fun place to play now. The atmosphere outside, the atmosphere in the building, and it's a great place to live. And it's always been that, but it's weird how now all of a sudden it's like, oh, really? It's the secret's out, I guess. And I think that's one of the attractions of the area. We have a great fan support. We have a good team, but it's a wonderful place to live.
Mm-hmm. It is. Paul Stasny was talking about that, about how it's green and
it's easy to get around. It's I don't know. It's 15 minutes to the rink. It's 15 minutes to the airport. It's and it's getting worse because everyone's moving down there, and so we are starting to get a little congestion. But it's good schools. You got the beach. If you want to go, you can go to the mountains. There's just golf. Guys love to play golf. It just kind of has everything that you need. So one-stop shop.
Okay. One thing about Dundon I did wonder is he doesn't like rentals.
No.
Do you like that? Do you wish he would bend a bit more on that one?
Well, that's hard to say. If it's the right rental, maybe, it has to fit. I think it's really more what he's saying. It has to be the right fit. Otherwise, we're not going to do something silly. And, hindsight's everything. You could say, well, you just lost your top scorer and you didn't your other top scorer. Well, we didn't know that was going to happen,
right?
And so I think everything changes if we'd known that was going to happen. But I agree with most things that he says. He's very smart, so it's tough to win an argument with him one-on-one.
He likes to argue.
He doesn't like to argue. He likes to learn, and how he learns, I think, about our game is he'll question everything you do. So then you got to give him answers to what he's questioning, and then if you can convince him, he's like, okay, I just learned something. And he's one of the things about. You said other things about him. He's a great listener, which I'm not. I got to do better. I'm always cutting him off, but he stops and he listens because he wants to learn on, what's going on, or at least how we think. So I think that's obviously a great quality.
All right, a lot of places I want to go here. First of all, you were 15 years old when you left home and you went to Notre Dame Academy.
Yeah.
When you look back, what's the thing that makes you laugh the most about 15-year-old Rod Brind'Amour?
I don't know what makes me laugh. I mean, I was pretty serious. I was dialed in. Like I knew what I wanted to do, and which I guess is a blessing, because most kids, they think they know what they want to do, but I was like, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew how to do it, which was I got to put my work boots on, and I was blessed to have great coaching and great parents along the way to help me. Coaching, to me, we get a lot of credit in the NHL for coaches, right? I hear it all the time. You get great players. They're already great when they come into your, even junior hockey players, most of them are great when they walk into the locker room. The coaches that coach these kids at 12, 13, 14, 15 are the ones that need the credit, because they're the ones that put the instincts, they give the habits in all these kids that you get to work with. And so at that age, my dad coached me first and was great. And then I went to Notre Dame, like you said, and Barry McKenzie, who I think is the best coach that's ever been on the planet. And if someday I got to get the list of kids that have come through him, he's long retired, but, and the influence he had and where they ended up. And the list of NHLers is incredible.
Yes.
The list of just kids going to college, that he made them better people. And he's had a great influence, just me, even how I coach, because what he did when he coached me for a couple of years. So anyway, long story to that answer. At 15, I just think I was real fortunate that I had good people around me all the way.
Now, I remembered that when you got to the NHL in St. Louis and you came after your season at Michigan State, and you scored on your first shot, and you said to me, well, that's right, but there's actually more to the story.
Well, a little more. I mean, I played my first game, scored on my first shot, and it's a little rebound tap in, right? But
Make it sound good. It's a goal.
Well, it was. Hey, I'm 18 years old. I came out of college and I'm in the playoffs and scoring a goal. And then here's the better story part is the next game was game 1 against Chicago. So I played game 5 of the first series, scored the goal. They sat me out the first 4 games, just kind of get used to, what was going on. So now I score. So they start me the next game against Chicago. I score 8 seconds into the game. Right after the opening faceoff, the puck just bounces up in the air, and I just put my head down, rip a slapper, goes right in. So now they think I'm the wonder kid. I got 2 goals, 2 shots, 2 games. Then the third game, I score again. I think I told you this. Yeah. And they disallowed it because they didn't have replay, but it went under the bar now. This is before replay. So anyway, I was off to a hot start and cooled off after that, but at least it was a way to get in and feel accepted. Obviously, when you're contributing, they don't care how old you are or where you come from. If you're contributing, you're welcome in the league.
So Brett Hull's on that team at that time. Adam Oates on that team at that time. Brian Sutter's your coach. Yeah. I'm just curious, what was it like when you first walked in? Because that's a tough crowd.
Real tough. I mean, real tough. And here's this kid, and I remember when I came into that room, they put me in a side room. Mm-hmm. Because
there's too many players.
Well, they didn't have a room for me, and I'm like, I'm not playing yet. I was the first, so I'm basically changing in the lounge, and I'm like, okay. And I remember coming out to practice, first shooting on Greg Millen.
Yep,
Dave Mills, he's the goalie, and I'm like, I see there's a lot of net over here, and I'm like, I don't really know if I should just go. So I'm kind of throwing muffins in there. I was a little nervous to really rip them, and Craig Cox. I don't know if you remember Craig Cox.
Tough guy.
I got lucky in the sense that his agent was my agent.
Okay.
So he obviously, but my agent told him, hey, take care of this kid. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe not the best guy to take care of in some avenues, okay? But on the ice and in practice, he was just being real nice. And I remember he used to call me Brandy, and he says, you can shoot harder than that. So it just made you feel welcome. And then I started shooting a little harder, and I was like, Millsy, there's a lot of room over there. Start putting a few by him, but it was great guys. Mm-hmm. And Bernie Federico was there at the end,
so
I got to play with him. Mm-hmm. Just real, it was a great time to come into the league.
Okay, what do you remember about obviously there's a lot of stylistic changes between the NHL now and then. But what was maybe your biggest adjustment, the thing that was hardest for you to do?
A strange thing, coming from the biggest adjustment I ever had to make was going from the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League to college. Mm-hmm. That I remember the first game I played in college, I was like, oh my goodness. It was such felt kind of overwhelmed. When I went from college to the NHL, I was expecting that. I was expecting this overwhelming feeling, and I'm like, wait a minute. Where is it? It wasn't quite like I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. So the college game really prepared me, I think, to play at the NHL level. I think just playing with that level at college with they're men too. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of older players, and I think that just helped me to walk right in and play in the NHL.
You were part of 2 huge deals. Did you see them coming when they happened?
The story of you're talking about St. Louis trade first?
And also then the Philly
St. Louis trade's crazy. If that would happen today, it wouldn't. It was that arbitration case.
Yes.
So
Scott Stevens.
I have a pretty good year, and then my second year in St. Louis, I faltered off a little bit, and so all of a sudden I'm at training camp, and here I am being told that I'm up for myself and Curtis Joseph for the arbitration case because they went and poached
Brandon
Shannon. And so the Devils are asking for, no, that's not a good enough package. We want Scott Stevens. Mm-hmm. So I'm at a charity golf tournament for the Blues, and there's a decision coming down. And back then they didn't have the setup like you guys have here. Yeah. They did an interview with me, the reporter, and goes, okay, I need you to, this decision's coming down at 5, but I'm not waiting around. I want you to give me 2 interviews, one where you get traded and one when you don't.
I have seen that before.
I had to give the hate that I had to leave, and then I'm happy to be here, and they're gonna air one at 5:00. This is what happened. I'm like, so obviously I didn't get moved. Mm-hmm. So now I'm on a team where they didn't want you. Mm-hmm. Myself and Curtis Joseph, we're sitting there, and they're all bummed out because they lost Scott Stevens, and they got to keep myself and Curtis Joseph. So you knew the writing's on the wall. Now it's just where you're gonna end up next, right? So. Off to Philadelphia.
And then, the Keith Primo one, did you see that one coming at all?
Well, there's a story there that I got hurt. First time I played 8 years in a row and blocked a shot in preseason games. Don't get me going on that, right? So I'm out now. And I tried to come back too early. And this is, again, the care has changed. Like, we take care of the athletes now, like, I mean, almost overkill. But I got hit in the foot in New Jersey game. We bust back. I went to the emergency room by myself to get an x-ray at 2 a.m. because that's what you did. And they said, oh, it's not really broken. You could probably play. Take a week off. Well, when you hear that, that means you're good to go. So I tried to play through it. And then I'm just limping around, and then 2 weeks later, I go, I gotta get this thing x-rayed. I can't play. And my bones are all shattered. And so now I gotta get pins put in. So now I'm out, long time. So now I'm just coming back. It's December, and the Flyers call me into the office. And I've said this now, so this is 30 years ago, so I think we're okay to, we can. But I go, and Paul Holmgren called me. I love Paul Holmgren. He's one of my favorite coaches. He's the assistant GM. He says, what do you think of Keith Primo? And I'm like, well, I just played with him in the World Cups, and so I think he's a great player. And they go, well, Lindros for him. I go, whoa. I was like, I don't know about that deal. I mean, Lindros is Lindros. Primo's Primo. And he goes, well, there's a whole bunch of other players too. And I'm like, I wouldn't do the deal personally. He goes, and then I said, well, man, I'm glad. I go, I thought you were calling me in to trade me. And then he goes, oh, no. We think too highly of you that we traded. And I went, oh. And it was like, okay. I went home and I said, I've been here 8 years, and they never called me in number one and never said, we think highly of you. I said, I'm going to be out of here. And then as soon as I got healthy, I was the one that got shipped to Carolina.
How soon was that conversation before the trade?
Well, I probably played, just coming back, so probably 2 weeks or a week. Wow. I only played 3 games when I came back. So the deal was done. There. I talked to Jimmy about it. They knew the deal was going through. They're just waiting for me to kind of be healthy. So
that is an unbelievable story, and
it's business. I get it.
I remember Phil Rizzuto, the Hall of Fame shortstop from the Yankees. He once told a story I heard him tell that he was called in spring training once, and they said, whoever it was, the general manager said, we have to remove a player from the roster. And Phil Rizzuto started saying, well, what about this guy? And they're like, no, we need that guy for this reason. What about this guy? And he said that they didn't hit him. They were telling me that I was the guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to imagine that conversation.
Well, I mean, I remember like yesterday, because I was still on crutches. So it must have been early November. So the deal, because Primo was holding out. That's what it was. So there was all this chatter about where's he going to go. And they waited till I was kind of back, and then they did the deal. Now, I'm sure that they were trying to get Lindros, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure, but okay, that wasn't going to work. So then we moved other pieces, and that was it.
Wow. So you go to Carolina, and you win a Stanley Cup there, and you were saying that. See, I'm always curious, like, who you take your coach. Like you mentioned Barry McKenzie.
Yeah.
It was one of the greatest coaches you ever had. And I'm sure you take a little bit from each coach, but
all of them.
You said like you and Laviolette initially, it wasn't always easy because he was your biggest fan.
Yeah, well, and I'm him now too. And it's funny how any player you talk to, who was your best coach, and they'll all say whoever played you the most, and whoever and Lavi played me the most at the end. So of course, but I loved how he did it. I love how he treated everybody, and made everyone had to do it the same way. Right, and this is how we do things, and treat everybody fairly, and brought a family feel to the organization and the team, and that's really about caring. And we talk a lot about that, and that's really what it is. I mean, we're such a team sport that little you're fighting all the time for those little margins, and where are they? Where can you get them? And I think that's what Lavi does a real good job of.
What do you remember about the night you guys won the cup?
Pretty much everything. I mean, it was.
Do you ever watch the game?
No. Well, I have, and it's every once in a while someone puts it on Game 7, and I got to sit there, and my family's watched it a few times when it's on, and they leave. They're done with it, right? But it's great memories to see it. I remember going into Game 7, and it felt like the weight came off, and I didn't realize there was a weight on. Meaning, all the way through playoffs. I'm 35, and Glenn Wesley's 37, and Hetty's 35, and we go down the list of guys that we haven't won, and this is it. Like, we know, and I mean, it might not be, but without saying it, like, guys, this is our last shot here, and it was going into Game 7. You knew it was over. So tomorrow is no tomorrow, and so it just. I remember coming into the game going, "Wow, this is it right here," and just felt real at ease. And we were at home, which was good. That was a big deal back then. It seems to be still a big deal, but not as much. But it's and then obviously the crowd, like you talked about, right from coming out in the warm up, and the place was just electric. And you kind of wish everybody could experience that as a player, because it's so special. And obviously winning, you wish everyone could do. That's kind of why I love coaching. I want it so bad for the guys we have to be able at least one time have that experience, because it sticks with you forever.
What do you remember? What was the best part about the celebration or the moments?
Well, I do remember a lot. I remember my family being out there, my kids. My dad was out there, real special, because all of a sudden it's all the people that helped you get there, and they're as happy, and they're as much a part of it as you are, and as the team is, and that's really what comes out. You see it every year when guys win, and I think that's what makes the Stanley Cup so special, because everybody that's in it understands, and I mean everyone, the families understand how much sacrifice goes into. It's not even the playoffs. It's not that grind there. It's the years and years of grinding to get to that point, and that's what makes it so special. And I think why our sport, the Stanley Cup's the greatest championship, because of what it takes to win.
You know what everybody remembers about that Stanley Cup final with you is the cup grab.
Right.
The cup grab.
the lift, you mean?
Or just when the commissioner hands it to you. And
well,
like
everyone says I took it from Gary, and that's not what happened. I couldn't hear a thing. So, and I just.
You're excited.
I was, and I'm like, I thought he said, go ahead. And apparently he's supposed to do a little more. I don't know. And I just like, well, I'm not waiting around. Like, this is, I just couldn't wait to get it. So it wasn't disrespectful, but somehow it's come off that way over the years that I just took it from him. No clue what was going on. Couldn't hear a thing. And I just didn't want to miss my chance,
Understood. Did you think that you would coach as long as you have?
No. Didn't even think I was going to coach. I didn't really want to. I've done the grind for so long as a player, meaning the travel and missing the family and missing the kids do their things. And I'm like, I need to be home. I want to coach my kids, not miss stuff. But I want to stay in hockey, so let's just do management. I can make my own. That was kind of what I was hoping to do. And then one thing led to another, and I was doing it a little bit. I was coaching. I had the best gig. I was assistant coach, but I was only staying at home. So I wasn't on the road. But I wasn't. I mean, now I'm not really doing anything. I mean, I'm kind of helping, but I'm not influencing enough. So you either got to be all in or all out.
Yes.
And so, made the decision, all right, let's just do this. And Tom gave me the chance. I mean, I was at the point, I'd been an assistant coach for a long time. And I'm like, I got either, I can't think of the correct words here, but it's get off the, or
bleep or get off the pot.
Right. And so Tom gave me the chance. Still here.
You're going to hate this because you hate talking about yourself, but there are a lot of people who know the kind of workings of this team or around this team that say you are the person that makes it all work. The culture of the Hurricane.
Yeah.
I know you love to credit the players.
Well, it's all the players.
But they say even the players say the culture comes from you.
Well, that's to deflect it from them, which is smart, right? And it's actually, like I talked about, the organizational. And I know it sounds corny and but it's a belief on how we got to do things. And it starts with the players. I mean, I know you have a bad manager, it's not going to be good. If you have a bad coach, but you got to have players. You can have the best of all those. If you don't have the players, what are you going to do? I mean, you might do a little, but you're not going to be successful. So I just look at the leadership we have, and I've talked about it at length, but Jordan Stahl is one of the best leaders you could have as someone who you want to build culture to or around. And that culture word gets thrown around all the time, but it's just talking about having good people that do it right and consistently, because everybody can do it right once in a while. The trick is, can you do it right over and over and over? And when people are telling you it's not right, or there's an easier way, or there's a different way, and that's Jordan Staal, just and on and off the ice. So he represents himself and the Hurricanes, not just the way he plays, but follow that guy around on a daily basis, you know. And so now there's your guy, and now you stick Aho and you stick Jarvis, you stick all these young guys, and just let them watch. What am I doing? Nothing. I'm just putting them around good people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you build culture, I think.
Is it harder to lose as a player or a coach?
Oh, way harder as a coach.
Because you can't do anything about it?
Can't do anything about it, but as a player, I would go home, not sleep, but I'd play all my shifts over in my head. I could have done that different. You know, I just missed that face off, or how did I miss that one? Empty net. As a coach, you go through 20 guys' mistakes. You're like, he did that. I didn't get the message through here, or whatever. So you got 20 guys' mistakes to, you know, deal with. Mm-hmm. And now you expect to win every night. It's NHL. It's hard. Mm-hmm. I think it's great, but when you don't win, it just, and you gotta flip the screws. But I think it's way harder as a coach, which is why I don't know how long I'm gonna do this. To be honest.
Well, that's the thing I wanted to ask you is, I think that there's, like you've kind of indicated, it's Carolina or nowhere.
It would be hard.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I'm not gonna say I will never do it. Mm-hmm. You know, because I have some good friends in other places that I really respect, but I have a hard time right now envisioning the way I coach anyway to do it somewhere else. I've always had a hard time, and I know it's guys' jobs, but I'm wearing whatever golf shirt with their
logo,
and then they're fired. The next day they're putting the other hat on, and they're like, "This is the best." I'm like, "Well, what were you just selling at the other place?" I get it. That's how it works, but I'd have a hard time with that, I think. Mm-hmm. Now, Tom gives me a call tomorrow and says, you know, we lose again, and he's like, okay, making a switch. I mean, I don't know that I don't know if I could stay away from the game. That's the other part. So who knows what would happen?
I don't think that call's coming anytime soon.
I got to turn it around here pretty quick.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about that for a second because, you know, you lost two important players, and it would be easy to say this is not our year. But I can't imagine Rod Brind'Amour saying this is not our year.
Listen, there's not many teams that would lose. You know, we lost Pastore and Svechnikov. That's 70 goals, let's say, conservatively, out of your line. And we didn't replace it because we thought we would have them. So that's going to be tough. Now, we replaced it in other areas, in my opinion. We got Brent Burns. We got this guy's as advertised. And we have a host of other guys on the back end that are picking it up. And then some other guys have taken a step forward that we didn't expect in Marty Natchez and Aho's Aho. But we still lost a big chunk of goals. So it's easy to say, oh, it's not our year. But that's not how we're thinking. We've put all this work in. And I say we, the players, from July to now, they're not just going to throw in the towel. Mm-hmm. And we just got to figure different ways of doing it.
I have a couple more for you. Number one, every year around Hall of Fame time, I get a call from someone in the Hurricanes who says,
pump me up. They're trying to.
You even rolled your eyes before I finished the question. Now? Does it matter to you?
No. Well, let's say, of course, it would be a huge honor. So I don't want to discredit that. I didn't grow up ever thinking about that. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? That was never, I want to be in Hall of Fame. It was win a Stanley Cup and play in the NHL long enough that I could support my family. Like, that was kind of like, I don't want to have to do what my dad did for a living. Mm-hmm. That was all. I was like, I'm not doing that. So, but all I want to do is raise the cup. So check, right? So pretty, I'm good with that, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
So everything's gravy now for me on that end.
Second one I heard from our coach, and the other coaches obviously out there really respect the job you do. He had a great line about you. He said, as long as Rod Brind'Amour is behind a bench, nobody will be in more trouble with the referees. That could only be second best than behind Brind'Amour.
I get a bad rap there. I have a hard time. Here's my thing, is I want to help these guys. I'm pushing the league. We need to have review on penalties so that these guys are the best at what they do. Mm-hmm. There's zero chance anyone could do what they're doing. You could throw 10 refs out there, it's not going to get it right because it happens too fast.
Yeah, it's fast.
And yet they've done this technology thing and they've stuck it where we get the view within 5 seconds and the whole building and the whole people at home and they're sticking on the bench Now we can tell if they mess us up.
So you want video review for penalties?
Yes, and I'm like, do you want to go through this?
Sure.
Do you want to go through this? This is how quickly you do it. Take two of the officials off the ice. We don't need 4 on the ice. What are the linesmen really doing?
Offside?
They got review for offside if you're wrong. Okay?
Mm-hmm. And
just put them in. I'm not taking jobs away. That was the other thing. I mentioned this 5 years ago and everyone, losing jobs. No. I'm preserving jobs because wear and tear, less wear and tear. 2 guys on the ice. You're not in the danger areas. You're getting hit with pucks. Okay? You're in the neutral zone, calling the game. You have 2 guys in the box on review. Okay? On review. On every time there's a penalty, put your hand up. The one guy's going already, checking to see if that was the right call. You go to a TV timeout for 30 seconds. If it just put the red light on and the whistle goes and they just quickly look at it. We already take how many TV timeouts in a period?
3 per period.
No. 3 minutes per period. So each commercials, you got 9 per. Do you understand?
So it's like 6 minutes per period.
Okay,
yes.
So just hear me out.
Yeah.
When you have that penalty call, the one guy's already just gives him a thumbs up as the right call because maybe and then he's like, oh, wrong, drop it at center. But we're taking a 30-second timeout. So we come back out of that. I mean, it's quick. We got it right. We got the call right, and they get to do. If by some chance it's got to go longer, take another. Just add it to add a minute. But guess what? At that 13-minute marker, we've had 3 penalties. Now we're not taking a 3-minute stoppage and play, which sucks the life out of the building. Just when you go there, you're like,
who did you?
Just wait. I'm not done. This is. So now we're not actually taking any more time, right? Because we've had 4 penalties. We've taken 2 minutes off. When we stop at the 13-minute marker, we just take a 1-minute timeout because we're making sure we're getting paid. The commercials are going. But guess what we've just done? We've got all the calls right. Now, it's not going to help the ones that we miss, which that's part of the game. But the ones that you want to get right, you made the call, they should be the right call. And these guys, they're the best in the world. It takes them 2 seconds to look, oh, that's not what I thought I saw. Or this head whipping thing that goes on when guys hit it's impossible to tell live. That's why guys are doing it. Imagine if you knew it was getting reviewed, would you think you'd have the head whip? No, you wouldn't because you get embellishment now. Right? And you get what I'm getting at.
Yes.
We don't want a game to end on penalties that are not penalties. You're okay with missing something. Honestly, you can live with that. But the one that is not a penalty, that caused a goal, those are the ones that I get frustrated with. So half my time I'm screaming because if it's wrong, this is why. All they had to do is get a second look at it. You're taking 2 guys off. Every night you get a little rest. So your 4-man crew is going around, but they're only actually on the ice for half the games. They're in their stuff, by the way, because if there's a melee, they can come right out and break things up. So there's not, and one guy drops the puck the whole game. So you get consistency. So at one end, it's not one linesman that's just jamming it down. And at the other end, the guy's making both guys stop and they get confused on, you always complain about this. Just have one guy do it every face-off. So he's doing it the same both ways. Offsides, we're getting, you're there. You're letting it go anyway. Now that's the best thing the NHL's done is let those ones go, right? Because how many times are they wrong on that when you review it? I think very rare.
And it's like
it has to be,
and it's so tiny.
So
like
tiny.
The naked eye
they're doing
can't
a
see
great
it
job
anyway.
with that,
Yeah.
right? But they're letting them go where they used to kill some that weren't offside, and you're like, well, you just killed the scoring chance. You killed the flow. So the league's moving that direction, but they're all worried about it's going to take too long. I don't. If you're actually just making up time where you were taking time anyway, what are you doing? We all want to get it right. If that's our goal, everyone in the room says we just want to get it right. Is this not a way to do that? At the end of the day, that's it. It's not losing jobs. It's preserving jobs. It's giving these guys that are great at what they do. No one else can do this. There's zero chance you and I could go out there and call a game. Zero. I would just never even blow the whistle. I would just let everything go but they do an amazing job. Imagine if they knew they could quickly go check or had you in the box on the headset with me going, hey, was that the right call? Let's take a peek quick. Okay, we got time because we're taking it on out of a commercial. I just think we get them right. That's it. Long story on that. And we're saving refs from getting hit in the corners and getting in the way. How often does a puck, when they're trying to clear it, hits the ref, goes up? You don't need to be down there. We don't even need to be at the goal line because everything's reviewed when the goal goes in. We do a great job of reviewing those goal line things. And anyway.
That's phenomenal. Like, have you
I
proposed?
said this 5 years ago in the Boston series when I got asked this. I'll never forget it. First time I was like, we need to have this, and everyone. It's just my suggestion, and it's just to help out.
Have you ever
take away the video? Then don't show us replays. Why are you doing that?
Have you ever taken it to the league? Said,
when do I talk to the league? I'm not doing that. This is my chance to talk to the league right here. I'll probably get. Do you think I can get in trouble?
No, you won't get in trouble.
This is a suggestion, and it's to help them. We get the best refs in the league. Why do we have to kick them out at 50 or 55? Whatever. What, isn't there an age limit?
I think it's more can you keep up?
Guess what? If I'm just going from the neutral zone to the neutral zone, and I can go into the other zone, but I don't have to call a game. You keep these good guys around for longer is what I would think. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think you're wrong.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Last question for you. It's Jeff Merrick, and he talked about Selke voting.
Yeah.
Is Selke the best defensive forward or the best 200-foot forward?
Overall forward, 200-footer, for sure. It's a guy you want on the ice to win a game and to defend a game in the last second. You know what I mean? That's the guy you want on the ice. That's your Selke. And the guys that have won that now in the last 20 years, that's basically what it's come to. You need a goal, he's going out. You need to stop a goal, he's going out. That's it. That's basically how I look at that award. And I'm glad that it's gone to that. Because there's so many good defensive-minded players that know how to play, can put the puck in that. And it wasn't like that originally. It was kind of not taken away from any of those guys, but I like how it is now.
Rod, it was incredible. Thanks so much.
You're the best. I appreciate you, man. You do a great job for hockey, and that's what it's all about.
It pales in the comparison to the job you do. Really appreciate your time.
Of course. Thanks. All right.